My ex lied about being pregnant to trap me, so I brought the receipts to her baby's shower. I met Sabrina in the most ordinary way, through a mutual friend's birthday dinner. I didn't want to go. I was still kind of raw from a breakup a few months earlier, one of those slow burn, mutual fizzle relationships that ends without a fight, but leaves you wondering what the hell went wrong. But I went. I showed up late, wore the wrong jacket, and tried to sneak in without making a scene. She noticed me immediately. She had this laugh that rang through the room like a chime. Sharp cheekbones, dark curls, eyes that looked like they could read a room, or maybe your soul. And she knew she had that effect. Sabrina didn't flirt with you. She interviewed you. She'd make you feel like the most interesting person in the world, until you realized an hour had passed and you knew nothing about her. Naturally, I fell for it. We hit it off quickly. I mean stupid quickly. Within 2 weeks, we were texting all day, every day. Within a month, we were exclusive. Within 2 months, she had a toothbrush at my place. Looking back, that speed should have been my first clue. Sabrina always had a reason to stay over, or a reason for me to come to her. Her lease was ending. Her roommate was toxic. She hated being alone. She didn't sleep well without me anymore. It felt romantic at first, like I was her safe place. But it wasn't just affection. It was pressure wrapped in charm. And the compliments. God, the way she praised me, like she was sculpting a fantasy of who I was, and then punishing me when I didn't live up to it. You're so emotionally mature. It's like you get me, she said once, after I listened to her vent about a coworker for over an hour without saying a word. I feel like I've never really been loved until now, she said after I stayed up late editing her portfolio for a job she never applied for. You'd never leave me, would you? She asked, half joking, one night, curled up against me with her fingers gripping the hem of my shirt a little too tightly. At first, I didn't notice it. The slow drip of isolation. It started with her complaining that she didn't feel comfortable around one of my closest friends, Elena, because she flirted too much. Elena's gay, by the way. Then she told me she didn't like the vibe of my group chat with my guy friends, that they were immature and a bad influence. I just want you to outgrow them, she said. They're still acting like it's college. So I stopped replying to the group as much. Skipped game nights. Prioritized her. I didn't even realize I was being cut off. I thought I was just maturing. The problem is, once you give someone like Sabrina an inch, they take your whole damn spine. I have a decent job in IT. Nothing glamorous, but enough to live alone, cover bills, and go out sometimes. Sabrina worked in marketing at a small startup and always complained about being underpaid and overworked. At first, it was little things. Me covering dinner, her forgetting her card, asking to borrow $40 here and there while waiting on her delayed paycheck. Then came the bigger asks. Can you spot my rent this month? My phone's about to be shut off. Can I use your account? Do you mind if I order groceries on your card and just pay you back Friday? She always said she'd pay me back. I kept track. I was down about $2,700 in 4 months. I mentioned it once, gently, and she made me feel like I was an absolute monster. You really think I'm using you? She asked, tears welling up in her eyes. After everything I've done for you, you think I'm that kind of person? I backed off. I felt guilty. She flipped it like a pro. It wasn't any one thing that made me want to leave. It was the weight of it all, like trying to hold a relationship together while walking on broken glass. Every day felt like a negotiation. If I wanted a night alone to decompress, I didn't care about her. If I hesitated to answer a question about our future, I was wasting her time. It all came to a head one night after an argument about, of all things, me liking a friend's Instagram photo. It was a photo of a dog. You think she's hot, she said, arms crossed, tears threatening again. It's literally a photo of her dog in a Halloween costume. I said, exhausted. You didn't like my Halloween post, she snapped. I realized I was arguing with someone who wasn't interested in being reassured. She wanted submission. I told her, as calmly as I could, I don't think this is working anymore. I don't want to keep doing this. That's when her face changed. The tears vanished like smoke, and she said the words that stopped me in my tracks. You can't leave me. I'm pregnant. It felt like the air got sucked out of the room. I froze, looked at her. What? I was going to tell you sooner, she said, but I wasn't sure. I've been feeling off. I took a test this morning. She pulled out her phone and showed me a photo of a pregnancy test. Positive. I didn't know what to say. Every part of my brain was screaming to slow down, to question, to check the details. But she was already on me, hugging me, thanking me, crying. "I was so scared you'd leave," she whispered. "I thought I'd have to do this alone." It was like being emotionally blackmailed at gunpoint. Something wasn't sitting right. I've always been careful, hyper careful, always used protection, always checked. I wasn't perfect, sure, but I knew the odds were slim. And the test photo? The timestamp had been cropped out. The image was blurry, almost like it had been screenshotted from somewhere else. I asked her when she was going to the doctor. "They can't fit me in until next week," she said. I asked if I could come with her. "They're only letting in patients because of COVID," she replied. It wasn't 2020 anymore. That didn't make sense. I asked if she had taken any more tests. "They're expensive," she said. I offered to buy more. She refused. Something was wrong. I didn't tell her I was suspicious. I played along, told her I'd support her, that we'd figure things out together. But I started documenting everything. Screenshots of texts, photos of the test, notes about dates, her reactions, her mood swings, the inconsistencies. I even went as far as contacting one of her old friends, someone she cut off months ago who had once mentioned, offhandedly, "Sabrina has a history of pulling some real soap opera shit with her exes." I reached out carefully and asked what she meant. The friend responded, "You mean the fake pregnancy thing with Brian?" She told me she was going to say she was pregnant, so he wouldn't leave her. I thought she was joking. She wasn't. I was torn between confronting her and escaping. Part of me wanted to blow it all up, to scream at her, to demand the truth. But the smarter part of me knew people like Sabrina don't break when confronted. They manipulate harder, cry louder, turn people against you. So I decided to wait, to be patient, to collect enough rope that she could hang herself with it. I smiled when she told me she was starting to feel kicks. I nodded when she said she was definitely starting to show. I held her when she cried and said she was scared. And I waited. I started organizing. Literally. I made a Google Drive folder titled Sabrina, Evidence with subfolders. Text screenshots, every conversation where she mentioned being pregnant, with dates. Photos, the test image, screenshot of her IG with wine, time-stamped selfies. Audio notes, recordings I made when she talked about the baby. In my state, it's legal to record conversations you're part of. Timeline doc, tracking her alleged pregnancy milestones. Spoiler, they made no sense. The more I collected, the angrier I got. Not because she fooled me, but because she'd almost succeeded in trapping me. It was textbook emotional manipulation. Leverage fear, isolate the victim, offer a false sense of shared future, then demand loyalty through guilt. I wasn't her first. I was just her next. So I found the previous. Remember the friend I messaged? She mentioned Sabrina had done the same thing to a guy named Brian. That name stuck in my head like a bullet waiting to go off. So I did a little digging. Thank you, LinkedIn plus Instagram plus mutual follows. Found him, messaged him, asked for 5 minutes of his time, and said it was about Sabrina. He replied almost instantly, "She's doing it again, isn't she?" We hopped on a call that night. I'll never forget how exhausted he sounded. Not physically, emotionally, like someone who'd been dragged through fire and barely made it out. He told me everything. Brian dated Sabrina 2 years before me. Their relationship was fun and intense. The exact same phrase I had used months earlier. She love-bombed him, smothered him in attention. And the moment he started pulling away, boom, pregnant. She even used the same test photo, man, he said. "I saved it. Check your messages." He sent me the exact photo Sabrina had sent me. Same angle, same counter, same test. She didn't even change the damn lighting. She told me she lost it after a few weeks, he said, then broke up with me to focus on her healing. Turns out she wasn't pregnant at all. He found out from her cousin after the breakup. By then it was too late. He'd already paid her rent 3 months in a row, canceled a move to another city, and lost 2 friendships over defending her. He was livid when he found out I was going through the same thing. "You going to confront her?" he asked. "Not yet," I replied. "I'm going to wait for her to dig her own grave." The final nail came in a message she sent a few weeks later. "I'm throwing a baby shower in August. I really want you to be there. I want us to start over." Start over? By then, she'd sensed me pulling away. I wasn't staying over as much. I'd stopped sending money. My replies were shorter. I was waiting, baiting even, to see what she'd do. The baby shower was her attempt at a final save. Bring everyone together. force the reality of her lie into a public event, lock me in. But here's the thing about pathological liars. They don't just want to be believed, they want to control the narrative. And I wasn't playing along anymore. Brian and I decided if she wanted a baby shower, she was getting one. Just not the kind she expected. We planned to show up together and expose her. I printed everything. Literally everything. I went full private investigator. A manila folder with labeled tabs. Printouts of both our text histories. Side-by-side comparisons of her pregnancy timelines. Her test photo, marked with metadata info. An email from a clinic confirming she hadn't been seen. A signed statement from a friend who knew she faked it. I even printed a screenshot of her drinking wine at a friend's birthday, 3 weeks after she said she was 8 weeks along. Brian brought a thumb drive with video messages she'd sent him, clips where she talked about feeling so connected to this baby. Almost word for word what she had sent me. We were ready. I RSVP'd to the baby shower. Told her I was bringing a surprise. She thought I meant a gift. I said, kind of. She was thrilled. Texted me constantly for the week leading up. Even said she had a name picked out. It was Luca, by the way. She'd chosen a name for a fake baby. She made a whole event out of it. Backyard setup, pink and blue balloons, food truck, DIY gift table. All for a baby that never existed. Her parents were coming. Her cousins. Her co-workers. Friends I hadn't met. Brian and I agreed we wouldn't make a scene. We'd be calm. We'd let the evidence speak. I couldn't sleep the night before the baby shower. Not because I was nervous about confrontation. I was nervous about the fallout. I didn't want to ruin a party. I didn't want to be seen as the guy who flipped out at a pregnant woman. I didn't want people to think I was bitter or unstable or cruel. But then I remembered the money I'd lost, the friends I'd distanced, the anxiety, the way she wrapped herself around my life like a vine, charming, soft, and slowly choking the air out of me. And I remembered Brian's voice when he said, she's going to do it again if we don't stop her. The event was supposed to start at 1 p.m. on a Sunday. Brian and I agreed to arrive separately but within minutes of each other. I didn't want her to see us together and start putting things together before the trap was fully set. The location? Her parents' house, a well-kept two-store in the suburbs with one of those Pinterest-wide backyards, complete with string lights, fake grass, and those folding chalkboard signs that say things like, "A little miracle is on the way." Spoiler alert, no, it wasn't. I showed up right around 1:10 p.m., holding a medium-sized gift bag with no actual gift inside, just a folder full of lies. A friend of Sabrina's greeted me at the side gate. Music was playing. Food was laid out. People were chatting. It looked like every gender reveal video you've ever cringed at on TikTok. And then there she was. Sabrina walked over in a long, flowing white dress with a fake baby bump tucked under it like it was just part of her outfit. She was glowing, not with maternal joy, but with delusion and control. She hugged me hard. "I'm so glad you came," she whispered. "This means so much to me." I smiled and said, "Of course." Wouldn't miss it for the world. Brian arrived 2 minutes later, wearing sunglasses and a cold expression. Sabrina didn't even notice him at first. When she did, she froze for half a second. Not long, but long enough for me to clock it. "Brian," she said, loud enough for people to turn. "What are you doing here?" He smiled. Wouldn't miss it for the world. She didn't have time to respond. Her mom called her over to take photos in front of a balloon arch. We let the party roll for a bit. 15, maybe 20 minutes. Just enough time for people to get comfortable, get food, start small talk, get lulled into a false sense of normal. Then I walked over to Sabrina's parents. "Hi," I said politely. "I have something for you. It's important." I handed them the manila folder. Her mom furrowed her brow. "What's this?" Brian walked over and added, "You'll want to sit down." They sat on one of those white folding lawn chairs near the gift table. I knelt down so I was at eye level with them. I didn't want this to come off like an ambush. I wanted it to feel like truth. Inside the folder, printouts of the test photo Sabrina had sent me, and the identical one she had sent Brian. Screenshots of text with conflicting pregnancy timelines. A written statement from her old friend confirming she had faked a pregnancy before. A screenshot of an email from a clinic stating Sabrina hadn't been a patient. Photos from social media showing her drinking and partying during the weeks she claimed to be 3 months along. Her mom flipped through the pages in silence. Her dad said nothing, just clenched his jaw and stared. I looked them both in the eye and said, "I'm sorry to drop this on you like this." But there is no baby. She faked it. She's done it before. And she invited all of you here for a lie. You could feel the tension bleed out into the crowd, like ink in water. People turned. Someone lowered the music. Sabrina noticed. She started walking over. "What's going on?" she asked, forcing a nervous laugh. Her mom stood up, folder in hand, and said, "Sabrina, what is this?" I wish I could tell you she broke down in tears, confessed, and apologized. She didn't. She doubled down, hard. "This is harassment," she shouted. "He's obsessed with me. They're working together to ruin my life." Brian and I stayed calm. We didn't raise our voices. We just stood there while Sabrina spiraled. "They faked all this. You think I'd make something like this up? You think I'd lie about a baby?" No one answered. The silence was worse than screaming. Her aunt pulled her aside and whispered something. Her dad sat back down and buried his face in his hands. Her mom kept looking at the folder, like she was trying to understand who her daughter really was. Sabrina tried one last Hail Mary. She grabbed her stomach and said, "I can feel him kicking right now." Brian said, "Which is wild, because you said you were 3 months along in March, which would make you about 8 months pregnant now." She froze. 8 months. She looked like she was going to say something, but there was nothing left to lie about. The math didn't work. The photos didn't lie. And the only thing left was her collapsing image. The party disbanded in minutes. People started grabbing their gifts back off the table. Some guests avoided eye contact and left without a word. A few others whispered things like, "I always knew something was off," or "What the hell just happened?" Sabrina stood alone near the fake balloon arch, blinking fast, trying to stay composed. But no one went to comfort her, not even her mom. She walked up to me and hissed, under her breath, "You ruined everything." I looked at her, dead in the eyes, and said, "No, you did that all by yourself." Then I walked away. Brian followed. The fallout was nuclear. She sent me a dozen texts over the next week, all from burner numbers. "You're disgusting. You'll regret this. You never loved me, and now everyone knows how cruel you are. You exposed me in front of my family. What kind of sick freak does that?" I blocked each one without replying. I heard from mutuals that she tried to do damage control, claimed the pregnancy was real but lost in early stages, and that we were exploiting her grief. But no one believed her. The evidence was too thorough, too clean, too real. Her parents stopped talking to her, at least for a while. I don't know if they ever fully cut ties, but I do know her dad filed to remove her from his health insurance about 2 months later. I heard that from someone who works in the same company, small town. Brian told me the baby shower was a closure he never thought he'd get. "She always made me feel crazy," he said. "Like I was the one who overreacted. Like I was paranoid or unstable. But now people know." We kept in touch for a while. He got into a new relationship. Healthier. Supportive. From what I last heard, they moved to another state together. And he's doing really well. Sometimes you don't need revenge to be loud. It just needs to be true. Update. After the baby's shower imploded, I spent the next week in what I call emotional decompression. You ever have a moment where your body finally realizes it's been tense for months, and when you relax, you just collapse? That was me. I slept more than I had in weeks. Ate better. Actually responded to texts from friends I hadn't seen in months. My phone wasn't buzzing with Sabrina's emotional emergencies or money requests or guilt trips. It was quiet. Too quiet at first. I'd gotten so used to crisis mode that peace felt alien. But then the quiet started to feel good. Peaceful. Like my nervous system was rebooting. Like I was finally detoxing from whatever chemical chaos Sabrina had been feeding me all that time. But peace didn't mean silence. Sabrina tried to rewrite the narrative almost immediately. First, she told mutual friends I had attacked her at her own baby shower. She played the grief card. Claimed she'd had miscarriage and that Brian and I ambushed her with lies during her mourning. Second, she went on a full-blown social media tour, posted cryptic quotes like, "Some people only show up to destroy you. Protect your peace." Or, "Not everyone deserves access to your healing process." Classic deflection. Some of her friends bought it, but not many. The evidence spoke louder than her edits. I had posted my own version of the story, the exact one you're reading now, on Reddit under this throwaway. It started gaining traction. People asked questions. Some locals recognized her. She deactivated her Instagram a week later. I reached out to a few friends I'd lost touch with while I was in Sabrina's orbit. One of the most humbling parts of the healing process is going back to people you ghosted or neglected, and saying, "You were right. I should have listened." Not everyone forgave me, and I didn't expect them to, but some did. Elena, the friend Sabrina hated for flirting with me, even though she's married to a woman, she was the first person I messaged. Her response? "Took you long enough. Come over. We saved your seat." She meant it. And being around people who knew me before I became a puppet in someone else's play, that helped more than therapy ever could. Though I did therapy too, twice a month, worth every cent. A month or two after the baby shower, Brian sent me a message. "Just want to say thanks again. You didn't have to bring me into it. Most people would have just moved on. But because you did, I got closure I never thought I'd have." He attached a photo of him and his new girlfriend hiking. They looked genuinely happy. He said he was planning to propose by the end of the year. Sabrina had almost ruined him, too, and now he was free. There was something deeply healing about that, like pulling someone else out of a burning house on your way out of it yourself. So here's where things got weird again. Roughly 6 months after the baby shower incident, I received a handwritten letter in the mail. No return address, no stamp, meaning it was placed directly into my apartment mailbox. It was 3 pages, neatly written, in Sabrina's handwriting. And it began like this: "I'm not writing to apologize, because I don't think you believe me if I did. I just want to explain something you'll probably never understand." I almost threw it away, but I didn't. I read every word. The letter was unhinged in that measured, articulate kind of way that makes you wonder if the person writing it actually believes what they're saying. She claimed the pregnancy started as real and then stopped being real. She claimed she felt connected to something that wasn't there, and that telling people made her feel closer to it. She even suggested that I had manifested its loss by pulling away from her. No apology, no admission, just spiritualized affection wrapped in poetic language. I didn't respond. I put the letter in the same folder with all the other lies and zipped it shut. People always ask if I regret not going further, like suing her, pressing charges, making a bigger public scene. But here's the thing. My goal was never to destroy her. It was to stop her, to protect myself, to protect Brian, to make sure she couldn't just keep doing this to people who were too scared to speak up. I don't need her to be punished. I needed her to be seen, for people to understand that there are consequences to creating emotional prisons for others. And from what I've heard since, she hasn't pulled the same stunt again. Maybe she learned something. Or maybe she just realized she's not invincible. Either way, I'm free. I didn't write this post for karma or for sympathy. I wrote it because I know there are people out there right now in the early stages of what I went through. If you're starting to question whether your partner is manipulating you, don't wait for proof. Trust your gut. Talk to people you trust. Keep records if it's safe to do so. And above all, understand that someone who loves you doesn't need to lie to keep you. You don't owe anyone your loyalty when they weaponize love to trap you. Get out. Get help. Heal. And if you're lucky, maybe you'll find your own manila folder moment and reclaim the version of yourself they tried to erase.